Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Today we're talking about how being a good person is not a stagnant identity. So that means you have to do something to act as a good person. It's not enough to just say, I'm a good person in the end, right? This involves action. This involves doing something. So most of us, if not all of us, I don't want to speak for everyone. I don't like making general statements, but I would assume most people want to say that they're a good person. I'm a good person, I'm whatever, right? But that's not something that just happens automatically. Like I said, it's not a stagnant identity. It does have to have some type of action to it. You can't just say that and then be like, oops, I'm a good person, right? There has to be actions and things that add up that allow that to be your reality. And honestly, in fact, I would say like it takes just as much intentionality to be like a good person as it does to be like a bad person, right? Neutrality is also not automatically good, right? Just doing things, just moving along through life, just here we go, right? We have to actively work and choose things and do things that connect us to being like a good person versus like, oh, I'm just floating around and we'll see what happens and with all of that, right? And that's for a few reasons. So the first is in life, there are a lot of systems, programming, socialization, things that are larger than us that we have to play into just being alive in the society that pushes us to do or act in certain things. So there's a lot of things we think are neutral, maybe aren't the most neutral just because of these systems that are in play that we're plugged into and we're acting out in our day-to-day lives, right? And a lot of those things might push us to be selfish, to be self-centered, to be rude, to be mean, to be accidentally contributing to systems of oppression that we might not intentionally be meaning to do, right? And so it's if we feel like we're not doing anything, we're swept up in that and we're part of that automatically just by being alive. And then on top of that, most of us have some type of wounding in way, shape, or form. And wounding, if we don't deal with that, that can be projected outward. We can take it out on other people. We can not look at our own stuff in a way that, again, becomes not the most helpful and actually could be harmful sometimes. On top of that, we also have everyone has an ego. We have our own agendas. We have our own lives. We have our own inherited characteristics. We have our own learned behaviors. We have, there's a lot of things going on that are contributing to us that we have to actively deconstruct, push back on, be intentional about. Otherwise, those things are contributing us to acting or behaving in a certain way that we think like, oh, I'm just a good person. But there's actually a lot of things going on we have to be aware of and turn inward and check within ourselves of like, what am I actually doing? What am I actually contributing to? And what's going on with me? So again, like the intentionality, pushing back against that, realizing, oh, I'm doing this manipulative behavior because I grew up in a household that saw that, or I'm doing this behavior because that's like what society rewards, right? Maybe like being selfish or using people, right? Because that's what society rewards or what I've seen on TV or what I've been shown to do with all these things. And it's really normalized, but I actually don't want to do that. So I need to push back on it, right? And so we have to intentionally recognize these things, push back on that if we want to say that we're like a good person. Okay. And so this is, of course, like everything going to look different for everyone. But first, I would encourage you to think about what does good mean to me, right? Like a lot of people want to say, like, I want to be a good person. What does good mean for everyone, right? It's very relative. It's very much, what words go along with that for you. If you want, you can Google like values list and find two or three, four or five that really speak to you and that you really want to focus on, right? So good can mean like principled, it can mean having integrity, it can mean being kind, being trustworthy, being honest, doing social justice work, right? Being giving, being compassionate, being non-judgmental, being understanding, being patient, right? There's so many different words under good of what that can look like. And so the first thing, if you want to actively be working towards being a good person, is saying, what does good actually mean to me, right? What do I want to be? What's the words that feel good to me? Okay. No pun intended here, but what's the words that feel good to me or the most clear to me or the most connected to myself and who I want to be? And so find out what that word or words are for you and then pull from there and start from there. And so once you have those words, then it's important to think about, okay, what actions can I take that help me act in a way that's aligned with that, right? So how do you live? How do you conduct yourself? How do you spend your time? Who do you hang out with? What do you say? What comes out of your mouth? What do you do? What's the state of your heart, right? What are the thoughts you're thinking, right? So how do you do all of those things in alignment with the values of being like a good person that matter to you, right? And this is a part where this is what determines the level of this for each of us, because that accountability oftentimes comes from us, and it's between us and ourselves, between us and God, us and, whatever you believe in, right? But it's important to think about that and really consider, how am I holding myself accountable to be, act, and exist and intentionally do things for myself, for others, and my interactions, and how I'm showing up to the world, right? What I'm doing when no one's watching, what I'm doing when I could do whatever I want at any moment, right? How do you do that? And so if you want to know what type of person you are, look at how you conduct yourself and then start to change that from within. So it's not just like, oh, I'm a good person because I decided to be today. It's like, how am I spending my time, my energy, my money, my thoughts? Who do I connect with? Do I volunteer my time? How do I treat people in interactions? How do I treat my loved ones? How do I treat my friends? Am I thoughtful? Am I, all this? And so, doing things that align with those words for you, right? If you want to be seen as principled, for example, what actions do you take to reinforce that? If you want to be seen as kind, what words come out of your mouth, right? What boundaries do you have? Kindness also includes not people pleasing, right? People pleasing is the opposite of kindness. What do you do for others? How do you spend your time? If you want to be seen as trustworthy, for example, do you keep secrets that people share with you, or do you tell them to everyone, right? Are you thinking judgmental thoughts about people? And so part of this is also because we have to interrogate and unlearn so many harmful things in the society. If all this feels good, right? Again, I can't speak for you. You know yourself better than I do. But if all this feels good and easy and simple, then I would encourage you to say, okay, there's probably something in there that doesn't feel the best that I need to interrogate and look at, right? Something that feels uncomfortable for me to face within myself. If you can identify all these other people acting in this way, okay, the saying, if you spot it, you got it, right? So if you can see a bunch of people acting in this way, it's like, okay, well, is that living in me, and in what way? And sometimes we do our work and we can unlearn things, and we're not having those behaviors anymore, but it really is important to be honest with ourselves and hold ourselves accountable and have integrity and be like, you know what, that actually wasn't fair of me, or you know what, like, that was a little selfish of me to act like that, or that was a little, whatever, right? Just being honest around the ways that we are acting if we want to be able to change. And that's not coming from a judgmental place or because we're bad or stupid, right? It's a lot of things that we have to unlearn and be willing to be like, I didn't know, but now I know, and now I want to do better and be better. And so again, like, only you can decide what good means to you, and only you can be the one to hold yourself accountable to change that. And like, live your life in a way that you're proud of, live your life in a way that has actions that feel good to you and that align with that definition for you. But again, my point of all of this is to saying that it's really important for you to be intentional with your time and energy and thoughts and words, and what you do and how you treat people and the people you have in your life, and all of these things. And what you do is, that's what makes you the type of person you are, not simply saying, I'm a good person, the end, right? So really thinking about, being a good person is not a stagnant identity. And then knowing our values do change with time, they do change with life. Certain things become more important to us at different stages of our lives. And so what does it mean for you to have to apologize, to make amends, to move forward, to reach out to someone, to treat them with love and care, right? Including yourself, right? And or making choices around, well, I'm not going to shop at this particular place, or I'm not going to engage in this type of behavior anymore, or I'm not going to, whatever, right? But again, it's really important for, if you want to be seen as this type of person, whatever the word is for you, whatever the ideal is for you, it's like, what am I doing in my day-to-day life to embody that, right? I don't just get to say it. Like, what are my actions that are aligning with that and showing that I am that type of person? Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.